a good time. Put a smile on your face, yeah. KB Cam and Elation Radio. Even brighten your day and help you through the night. Bring you good music. KB Cam and Elation Radio. And here's your host, KB Cam.
Me a while to get to this place. I'm so glad I'm in this space, accepting all my flaws, embracing authenticity, 'cause there's nobody quite like me. Oh, I like being me. Who I'm created to be, original, not to copy. I'm gonna clap on me, to love again. Gonna celebrate this life, walking who am I supposed to be? Refuse to give up on me. To love again. Gonna celebrate this life, walk and live. Every trial that came my way, I was searching for a brighter day. That day's finally here. That day's finally here. Through life's struggles, ups and downs, I'm so glad that I have found love that's unconditional. Yeah, all I went through prepared me. All God wanted me to be. I'm gonna clap on me, to love again, love me again, celebrate this life, walking who am I supposed to be? Refuse to give up on me. Love again, to love me alone, celebrate this life, walk and live. Oh, it's incredible. This joy is unspeakable. Living life with no regrets. Each lesson was a blessing. I'm gonna clap on me, love again, celebrate this life, walking who am I supposed to be? Refuse to give up on me. Love again, celebrate this life, walk and live. I'm gonna clap, 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 learning to love all over again. Celebrate this life. I'm gonna, clap, 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 clap for me. Celebrate this life for me. Learning to love me over and over again. Clap, clap, clap. I'm gonna celebrate me. Celebrate this life. I'm dreaming big. Yeah, oh yeah. Clap, clap, clap. Gonna celebrate this life. Walk and live. Gonna give my life.
Well, here we are again for another podcast. I want to thank you, our listeners, for tuning in to the Jadasa Live podcast. I am Cynthia R. Bennett, your host. Here on the Jadasa Live podcast, we talk about issues that are relevant to us, issues, stories, resources, events, and ways to eradicate abuse in the community. Abuse of all kinds through education, edification, and encouragement. Tonight, I want to talk about bystander, being an effective bystander. And I know last week we talked about abuse on college campuses. It's about reporting them and things of that nature. And I kind of want to extend it to this week about being an effective bystander, because we know that people want to help. A lot of people, most of the time, would like to help, but sometimes we may not know how to help or what to do. And so there are things we can do to be an effective bystander that can help us in situations. And this week we're talking about on college campuses. I'm really honing in on that because I know school is starting back up. Kids are going back to the campuses. And this is just something that I just want to share, and I think it is really important at this time. But before we get started, I want to let you know, thanks to everybody who supported the annual Dignity Drive. It was a success. It was another community event that went down in the books for Jadasa. This year, we created and passed out 283 bags of toiletries, of diapers, and that's outside of diapers. We passed out so many diapers. But I want to thank you, our viewers, our donors, our sponsors, those that came out to volunteer, those that offered a word of prayer or sent out a positive word in the atmosphere for a successful event that people will receive us. I want to thank you, because without you, there would not be an event, because Jadasa is a community-based organization, and Jadasa is in the community, and you are the community. And therefore, if Jadasa is the community and you are the community, you are Jadasa. And so I want to thank you for that. But before we move forward, we have our fall registration that is going to be opening up this Sunday, August the 1st, for our fall developer workshop. And so I want you to know that it will start this Sunday. The workshop will begin on Saturday, September the 11th. So I want you to mark your calendars. These will be 8 Saturday events for the fall, because the kids are back in school. These will be 8 events in the fall from September 11th to October the 30th. And so the registrations will go out on our website this Sunday, August the 1st, at www.jadasa.org. We want you to make sure you go out there. We will be sending out flyers on social media, on our Jadasa webpage, on our website tonight for registration. Get your kids, your nieces, your daughters, your friends, your neighbors, and have them to participate in this workshop where it is about learning the basics of entrepreneurship and mobile app development. We also, around these workshops, we talk about social issues that's going to help our young girls, such as healthy versus unhealthy speech and encouragement, and we're going to teach them about technology. This is an awesome program. Again, it is our Fall 2021 Developer Program, and we want you to be a part of it. So be sure to look flyer this evening. That's going to start the registration on Sunday, August the 1st. Okay? So let's move forward. We're talking about effective bystander, being an effective bystander. We know people see things all the time, and a lot of times, again, people sit around or they stand around or they're in the vicinity of what may be happening, but may not necessarily know what's going on or understand it. So being an effective bystander, why do I need to be a bystander? Why do I need to have these type of skills? You're asking yourself, or you're listening. Why are we talking about this? Well, being a bystander or an effective bystander at that, it's having the skills to address problems, to address them when you see them, to effectively address them for a favorable outcome. It helps with reducing harm to the individual or people that can be around or in the vicinity of whatever the issue is or the situation. And it helps with dealing with concerning situations that we witness. We as people, we are the ones that's standing on the outside that's looking in. You're considered a bystander so that we can contribute to a positive culture on campus. And so, again, this can relate to not just on campus if you are a student. This can be a lifelong skill throughout our lifetime in almost any context, almost in any disagreement or any issue there's conflict. like conflict resolution, resolving a conflict. So this is something that I just feel like we just need to talk about because we know, again, that abuse has been escalated because of the pandemic. People are inside. People are frustrated. We know all of that. But also, we still have to move on with life, and we want our kids to be safe. When we send them off to colleges, we send them off to school, they're living on campus. Even if they're not living on campus, they still have to go on campus. And so if they see some things or if they're, if it's not happening to them and they see some things that can be troubling, you're going to be a bystander. You don't want to get into it, and you don't want to be, I don't want no problems. I don't want to get involved. Okay, that's fine, but you can still help by not being involved, really. You can still help, not directly, but indirectly. And so that's what we want to do because it's about eradicating abuse in the community. And we, on this Jadasa Live platform, we talk about everything, the stories, we talk about issues, the resources, the events, anything that's going to contribute to educating, encouraging, and moving people forward so they can go forward in their lives, whatever aspect they need to go through. It is about all of those things that we are trying to do in ways of eradicating abuse in the community. And so people want to help. Most likely, people really do want to help and really want to, and we're highly motivated to look out for each other naturally. Naturally, your instinct is to help people that are in distress, to help someone that's hurting, to help, just like if somebody fall, most people, their inkling is to help them get up or whatever, or even not even just do anything, but if you don't do anything but say, are you okay, or are you hurt, that's still often some kind of concern or you're expressing thoughts of concern or, just seeing if you're okay. So, people really want to help. And, we help for a lot of different reasons. We do. Some people like to help out of empathy. What if that was me? If I fail, I would want somebody to help me. Or if I was in help and somebody wasn't there, I would want someone to help me if that was me. Some people do it out of concern, actually concern. I want to make sure you're okay, because I am concerned because I see that something happened to you. Social expectations, because people just feel like that's just something you should do. That's what you should do. That's what, it's expected for you to reach out and help. Then some people help because of karma. What goes around, come around, that saying, well, if I don't help her, then it's going to come around when something happened to me, there's not going to be anybody there to help me. And, some people help out of guilt because maybe something happened before in another situation and they didn't do anything and they feel guilty and bad about it. So now here's another chance and an opportunity for them to help somebody else. And so now they're saying, okay, well, let me I'm going to do this. This is going to help rectify what I didn't do in a previous situation before. And, lastly, some people do it out of moral obligation because, it's just morally right. They're just obliged morally. This is just the right thing to do. And so people help for a lot of reasons. For the different times and different situations, we might be motivated to help for different reasons. Today, it may be empathy for me. Tomorrow, it may be moral obligation. Next week, it may be guilt from the same person. So whatever our reasons are, we just want to make sure that we can be effective bystanders when we are helping people. And then we can also reduce harm in the moment. Reduce harm in the moment. I don't know. There's a lot of things that happen in the moment that people wish they could take back. They can't. With all the violence that's going on and with abuse and stuff, and people are dying at the hands of their abuser because somebody was caught up in the moment and they snapped. Or either they strangled somebody or they pulled out a weapon and they shot somebody in the moment that altered the life of everybody around them, perpetrator, because they was in the moment. And sometimes when we do things in that moment, it lasts a lifetime. And so we can reduce harm in the moment. It's usually not possible to solve everything in a situation where someone needs help, but small actions can have a big impact. Just for a case, for instance, what if the young lady, I won't call names, but the young lady back here in February who was killed and her children was killed and the guy went off and killed himself. What if in that moment when he pulled that gun, she could just say, can we just talk or whatever, or somebody that was happened to be out there and maybe they knocked over the trash can to do some kind of distraction. We don't know. But anything could have happened that probably could have reduced it. Probably, maybe, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not a prophet. I'm not trying to speak other things. And I'm just saying sometimes we can do things that can reduce harm in the moment. To me, that is just so key. In the moment, that's when stuff happens. When we do stuff in that one moment, it can last a lifetime dealing with the consequences. So we just want to, talk more about that. And so effectiveness in intervention requires, to me, a 5-step decision-making process when it comes to being an effective bystander. 1, notice the event. Notice what's going around. Notice when something don't look right or where it don't sound right. Something like, you know what, I'm not feeling this. Something not looking right, or, why is this person standing over here? Whatever, something. Notice your surroundings. And I am working diligently with that on me, because that was one of the pet peeves my husband we used to have with me. Cynthia, you don't, notice your surroundings even more. And I do. And so that's one of the things. The first thing is to notice the event or notice your surroundings. Now, interpret the event as a problem. If you're looking at something and something just don't seem right, okay, maybe it might be a problem. Don't just shrug it off like, oh, whatever. No, just sit back and watch. Look at it and say, could this be a problem? Could this person really be hurt? Could this person be lost? Could this person be confused or what? Whatever. Kind of notice it and watch it and interpret. Now, after you do the noticing of the event and you interpret the event as a problem, just interpret it. This is about intervention, not saying it is a problem, but you interpret it as a problem, which means if you're going to interpret it as a problem, then most likely you're going to act, or are you going to watch and monitor to see if there's anything that you can do? And so after you notice it and after you interpret it, assume personal responsibility for intervening. Make it your business. Okay, you know what, let me see, even if it's nothing but, doing a distraction, throwing something, dropping I don't know, anything that's kind of take the focus off of the individual or whatever is going on where the distraction will cause people to stop even to look. It may cause them to snap out of whatever trance they're in, whatever it is, you just don't know. But the point is you can be an effective bystander even if you drop a bag of groceries and all of a sudden people look. Now, they focus on whatever this issue is or whatever the aggravation is. They may be focused and fixed on that. But then if you drop a bag of groceries, you drop your books, you drop your purse, or you just stumble, I don't know, walk into some, throw some, whatever, it can knock them out of that trance. It can knock them off focus where they stop to focusing on whatever that is, and they look to see whatever that was that fell, that was thrown, that was dropped, or whatever. Assume that type of responsibility. And once you assume that, identify a safe and appropriate method for intervention. You want to identify what you can do. We already said some of the things and with the assuming by dropping stuff or whatever, to drop the focus, to break that focus or whatever it is that the fixation is on. And then once you do that, use acquired skills to effectively intervene. And that's what we're talking about today. These acquired skills that we're going to talk about that make people to become an effective bystander, especially during school, on college campus, in life situations. Not necessarily if you're on a college campus, but because we are gearing this towards this institution, because kids are now preparing to go back to school. I just want to, I'm going to give some examples about it, and we're just looking at some ways how we can, in our decision, what you should do. This is before you even start acting. This is before you even do anything. So we talk about decision making, 5 steps. Then we talk about rules for an effective bystander. One of the things we're going to put some do's and do nots in here. It's some do's you should do. It's some things you should do, and it's some things you should not do. And so one of the things about being an effective bystander with intervention, do not, capital D-O, capital N-O-T, do not intervene in a way that puts yourself or others at risk or physical harm. Don't do that. Don't just go and jump in the middle and what's going on. No, that's not. What we not going to do, we not going to put ourselves in harm's way. That's what we not going to do. And so we don't want you to intervene in that way. Do not intervene in a way that escalates the situation or makes it worse. Use direct confrontation only if other methods of intervention are not appropriate under the circumstances. So we want to make sure you don't do something that makes it worse. If he's, whatever it is, do look for early warning signs of trouble. When you see something out of whack or something don't look right, stand by and watch, kind of watch. Follow them with your eyes. You may be still going to class. You may be going to do whatever you got to do. But you kind of monitor the situation, kind of watch and look at it. Do intervene at the earliest point possible if you can. Do the distraction early because you don't want it to get to the point where everything is heated and escalated. Because a lot of times when people are heated and escalated, they won't even hear you or see you because they're fixed and focused on whatever it is, the issue that's going on or whatever the confrontation is. So you want to try to do your intervening at the earliest point possible. Do ask for help from other bystanders or responsible persons such as a police or public safety. Don't be afraid to say, hey, can you watch this, whatever this is going on, watch this scene with me because it's just something don't look right. I just want someone else to see what I'm seeing, maybe to make sure what I'm seeing is what I'm seeing. I know that may be like a tongue twister what I just said, but anyway, asking the police and public safety to stand here, hey, this is going on over there. You see those two people right there? Something just don't look right. Can you just look at it with me to see if I'm on point or maybe I'm just off and I'm just going by my business? That way you're allowing another person to be privy to whatever it is you think is going on, and they will be watching and monitoring as well. And because they're public safety officers or police officers, they probably most likely have more training than you, and they will be able to decipher and look at things in a professional way as well. Do remember that effective intervention does not always require dramatic action. Don't go jumping in and trying to be, Superman and Superwoman. No, even small gestures or comments can have a large impact on the outcome of a troubling situation before and or after the effect. Hey, somebody at a party, we'll give some examples about that. I have a couple examples what goes on college campuses. And so there are some of D's I talk about when it comes to bystander intervention techniques. And these are 4 D's that I think about when we're talking about that. One is distract. And I've said that before previously in the last 5 minutes. Distraction, interrupt the situation without directly confronting the parties involved. Example, stepping in to ask questions that can divert a person's attention. Hey, do you know what building so-and-so? I can't find dorm room, blah, blah, blah. Or I can't find the math computational building. Ask them some kind of question dealing with campus or something. That kind of throws them off and it shifts their behavior towards less risky situations. Delay. So after distract, delay. You can delay. Check in on potentially troubling situations when you are not sure if the situation is unsafe or you do not feel safe immediately intervening. So example for that, asking a person if they are okay or inviting them to go to the bathroom with you so you can talk to them to assess what happened. Sometimes if you see somebody, hey, girl, can you run to the store with me? I borrowed that money from you and I need to break this chain so I can give it to you. Can you run to the store with me? Yeah, because everybody always borrowing money in college, okay? Nobody's ever have the money that they need. So that would be one good way you can use it. Hey, I'm going to the commissary. I got my $20 bill. I know I owe you $10. Can you come get with me so when I pay for this, whatever I'm paying for, I can give you your $10 back? Some kind of way to delay that situation. Then you want to delegate. Identify other bystanders who can assist you in safely intervening. For example, asking a friend to help intervene by distracting one of the parties while you distract the other. Bring another person, girl, go talk to so-and-so and I'm going to, see, hey, what's going on with this party or whatever, and then you try to talk to her. get more than 2 or 3 people in that you're just asking a simple question that they may be interested in asking, that may be something that you all are all involved in without them, without you all actually intervening in the situation or the issue that's going on, but you are just interjecting yourself and you're delegating another person to help you with the interjection without really actually dealing with the situation. And then last but not least is direct. Intervene directly to make the parties aware that there is a problem and it has been noticed that there is a problem and there has been noticed. And sometimes you would kind of do this if it's a person you're a friend. Not saying that you would go up and do that with a stranger or something. Telling a potential offender, hey, she doesn't look like she is sober enough to go upstairs, or I don't think you need to do that, or whatever. You would probably be direct with a friend, that you have a friend who is not being nice to their friend or their, mate or whatever, and you all have that type of relationship. Then I would expect you as a bystander to use direct techniques. And that's only if you actually know that person and they're comfortable enough. Even if they, flash back at you and they shout back at you, you can deal with it, you can take it, you can understand. Because later on, after they do that and you all come back together, you can come back and address that situation, say, hey, that wasn't cool what you did, you were hollering at me and that wasn't. At least you have the opportunity to go back to readdress that. That's because you have that relationship with them or you know them and you can be direct. And maybe not you know them intimately. You can be a teacher and know that that's a student. You're teaching a student. You can still be direct that way because you do have some kind of contact with them outside of the situation that is occurring at the time. So we talked about being direct, effective strategies. Then be creative when you use distractions. Be creative. Sometimes being direct has again the potential to backfire, especially if tempers are high or people have been drinking or you worrying that the situation you read is wrong or something. Create a distraction to draw attention, and it can be very effective. For example, one of the things I said that at a party, if you're at a party, they still have house parties or frat parties or, parties on dorm campus and all that stuff. They still do that nowadays. So, for example, you at a party and you see there's an altercation with a couple that's going on or something that's going on, whatever, one of the things you can do, you can go over there and ask them, hey, or you are the owners of this party, or did y'all throw this party? Or if you're looking for somebody and they know that person, ask them, hey, y'all seen such and such, and then if it becomes too intense and you don't want to become directly involved that way, what you do, you can go to the DJ and say, there's an altercation going on. I need you to stop the music, turn the light on. Now, if you at a party or you at a dance, you on campus, everybody likes to dance in the dark. You turn that light on and turn that music off, everybody goes to look around and see what's going on. Everything stops. And that way, if there is an issue going on in that vicinity, in that scenario, that scene, it distracts, it deters the perpetrator from continuing to batter or talk down or demean or whatever it is that they're doing that's an abusive way, that you are trying to be an effective bystander. That is a good way to do that because everybody's going to stop and see, first of all, why the music stopped and why the lights turned back on. And everybody's going to be looking around, looking at everybody else. And so that is one of the things you can do. You can also be creative by being covert. Being kind of under the radar, trying to be, go under the radar of trying to deal with this when you don't want to make a person mad or embarrass them, or you don't want to create further attention, or you don't want to bring any more attention to the situation. And so a successful covert intervention might not look like an intervention at all to someone else that's watching the situation. It may look like you just clueless. So, for example, if you see a couple that, or a young guy and a woman or whatever, and there is some kind of altercation or something that's going on and stuff looking like it's just escalating, you know that person has a car, you can just go back there and say, hey, I think there's somebody waiting by your car, because it seems like I don't know if that's your car but it looks like there's a person that's standing by your car. Now, folks, you talk about somebody's car and they're in college, first of all, they don't have a whole lot of money to be trying to fix car or whatever. They go stop and see if that's their car that you're talking about. And so that's another way to be creative and to go covert. To help in that bystanding. And so also, if you're just not, comfortable with it and you just don't feel like you have the resources or the understanding or the experience, always go for help. Get other people, to alert others of the situation. That means maybe getting someone who is better positioned to help or who has the authority to address the problem. And so there's other things, and then I talk about now versus later. I like that because when I see now versus later, I think of a candy now and later. I don't know if you guys remember the candy. They came in all flavors, watermelon, strawberry, lemon. I have lemon, banana, apple, all that stuff. So I'm not going to get off into the candy thing. But anyway, I think about that candy now and later, and it was always save some for now, eat some for later. And so this, to me, it helps. Sometimes helping doesn't have to be limited to right there in the moment. In situations that are on emergencies, if we're acquainted with the people involved, we have the option to talk to them at a later time. So you could say something now and then go back and readdress it again for later. So, and try to gather your thoughts on what you could say or what you might want to say to help that person to decipher what is going on, to look at their actions and their behaviors and stuff of that nature. And so I just like that now versus later because it just automatically puts me in the mind of the candy now and later. So with me saying that, you automatically know, or you can just safely assume that I like now later candy. I do. So I like that. So let's just talk about a couple of situations. What if it's, like you said, a couple is arguing at a party? And we talked about that. He talked about that. You at a party, a couple shows up. He's talking to her, the lady he's with, in a really mean voice. It seems like she's trying to reason with him, but he's just getting angrier. So he grabs her by the arm and gets in her face. You can't hear what he's saying, but you can see that she's trying to pull away from him. I'm making this up, you guys, that she's trying to pull it away from him. Then he grabs her closer to him. And so, you evaluate the situation. If you're with a friend and you looking at it and they looking at it, maybe you all just kind of talk amongst each other. You think that person okay? If other people noticing it, maybe you all can do something together. Again, like I said, if you're in a party, turn the music off, turn the lights on. That brings attention. And then you watch the situation, see if things are getting worse, if it's escalating. She's trying to pull away. Maybe he's grabbing her. Maybe he's following her. Maybe she went outside and he followed her outside. Okay, you go outside too, like you're going to go out there and get you a breath of fresh air. But you want to just kind of keep them in eye distance so you can see in case you have to call for help or to get other people, because they want to go outside, but if you got 12 people coming outside just to kind of hang out or get a breath of fresh air, they may not want to continue that conversation in the behavior that you saw earlier inside, because now they got this audience. They got people that's out there that can witness and see what they can do. And so we want to just make sure that there is ways to be effective bystanders. We just want to make sure that we are, not necessarily getting involved in the situation where it's going to harm you or harm the person that the aggression is being targeted to, but that you will find creative ways that you can help because you're standing by, because you're a bystander, because you're in the vicinity and you happen to see it. And so we want to make sure that you are being effective with that. So there's another case, and then I'll close this for tonight. And let me see, about intimidation and humiliation, maybe someone with authority in your department or in your school. is known for saying things or behaving in ways that intimidate or humiliate others or students. I'm pretty sure you all probably don't know anybody like that in your life, right? Okay. So one morning you have to pass by a tense interaction in the hallway to get to your class. You can't get around because there are two doors in front of the class you need to get in. So you got to, you want to go to. So you got to try to bypass them with all this tense going on. And so this person who may be in an authoritative position, maybe they may be a TA, a teacher's assistant, maybe they may be the administrator or a professor or something. This person is berating someone in a way that you've seen them do before to other people, and the person being yelled at isn't saying anything. So what do? So if the person has the authority over this person and maybe over you, maybe they're grading your papers too. Maybe you want to see if you can get someone to come to the hall or say, just ask another teacher or TA, hey, can you come and observe this situation because I want to make sure that, I'm not jumping the gun. You may know exactly what's going on, but you don't want them to know. You want them to draw their own opinion or their conclusion based on their observation, but you just giving them the opportunity to come and see the interaction, but you also, as an effective bystander, helping the person that's being berated because now you got all eyes on you, and then the person that's doing the berating may stop because they don't want to be seen. And then the kids, they always pop out them cell phones to record everything, and the person definitely don't want that recorded because it can possibly be their job or their tenure or their scholarship or whatever it is that they in school for. And so those are some of the things you can do, the strategies you can do. Then, again, you're standing near the people. You can be standing next to them and accidentally drop something, or you can just be in the vicinity and look at them. You can even look at the person who's being berated to let them know, I see what's going on. Because if the person berating them and they seeing this other person's eyes shift away from them, one, they go stop and look to see what has got your attention that you keep shifting your eyes from them. And then if they turn around and see that there's someone standing by and listening to them, that may cut or stop that situation from going on as well. Now, you are being an effective bystander without even getting in it. For you are helping yourself, you're helping the person who's being berated or humiliated, you're helping them, and then you also helping the person that's doing the berating so they can stop the behavior, to realize that somebody is watching. And you don't even have to say anything. You can have an expression on your face like, oh, my God, really? You're doing that? People read expressions very well. They'll know when they already know they're out of order, but they just don't want to make sure. They want to make sure that their out of order is not being rehearsed or recorded, or they can be seen or observed. And so those are some of the things that we can do to help a person who's going through these type of things. Again, I am really kind of pushing towards this with the colleges and the universities and the schools, not even just these schools, even elementary and middle and high school, because, your students are away from home during these hours of the day, and you're at work or at school, or you have to do the things you have to do in the community or whatever it is that you have to do, that your students are away from you at school. But these are some of the things that not only students and faculties and your colleagues and members and your parents and your families and your friends can do. You can be an effective bystander even with a stranger and not say anything, but just be in the vicinity when you see something that's going on. You can call the cops, or you can call people, or you can just stand there and monitor and watch. And they just say, what you looking at? You don't say nothing. You just turn your body. You ain't got to watch them, but you can still stay in the vicinity of where they are. And that will help with the intervention process, because most people don't like to be recorded. Now, if you got somebody that's a knucklehead that got the attitude, well, I don't care who in front of me, I don't care what they go do now, you just need to call 911 and call the police and tell them to come on the scene and let them deal with them directly as a bystander. But the point is, you're still doing something where that person who's being berated or hurt is not vulnerable and by themselves and isolated. you're helping them in that way. So I just wanted to address that today with you guys about being an effective bystander, because remember, an effective intervention is one that puts safety first. And this is something that Jadasa Live podcast talks about, issues, these stories, these resources, the events, self-help ways, strategies, anything that we can do to educate, edify, and encourage our listeners, who can also encourage their families and their friends and their neighbors, so that we can continue as a community to eradicate abuse. And so with that being said, I want you to be safe, I want you to be well, and I want you to be whole. And remember, it's Jadasa 24/7, 365, all day, every day. Good night.
Brothers and sisters in the street, I'm here to let you know I come in the name of the King. There is no other name I know whereby men who can be saved. Jesus Christ is that name. He knows you have a need, and I'm here to save the seed and to let you know the pain is over now. God heard your cry, and He sent us into the world to gather up His sheep who were lost. He heard your cry, and He sent us, that no more on the ground you have to sleep. Jesus heard your heart crying from the street. I know just what you're going through. You've been made some promises by a God who did not keep their word. Well, I guarantee He'll never leave you, and I know He'll never forsake you. You can depend on every word He says. If He clothes the grass of the field, and He feeds the birds in the air, if you're His greatest creation, how much more do you think He cares? God heard your cry, and He sent us into the world to gather up His sheep who were lost. He heard your cry, then He sent us, that no more on the ground you have to sleep. Jesus heard your heart crying from the street. Jesus wants you all to know that you have a place to go. It's a place called unity, where we meet